Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Krishna, Bhutale, Shri Namaste. Namaste Saraswate Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha, Shunyavadi Pashatadeshitarine, Narayanam Namaskritya, Naram Chaiva Narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Tatodayam Mudire. Hare Krishna. So we continue to study and read from the fourth chapter of the second canto entitled The Process of Creation, where Maharaj Parikshit inquires from Sukadeva Goswami that how does the Lord create, maintain and destroy this universe? And how does he enact primary and secondary creations? And we see so far in next 20 verses how Sukadeva Goswami replies by invoking praise, by submitting to the Lord his own inability to express or describe the wonderful activities of the Lord. Just he is submitting that let him be empowered. When he is empowered, then only he will be able to speak on this topic. We discussed the 22nd verse. So I'm taking 22nd verse to connect. That may the Lord, who in the beginning of the creation amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from within his heart and inspired him with full knowledge of creation and his own self. So in a way, he is submitting that like you enlightened Brahmaji with the knowledge of creation and also about his own self and also about yourself. That all the three aspects. Who is Brahmaji? Who is the Supreme Lord? And what is this material creation? And who appear to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, be pleased with me. Srila Prabhupada and the purport say that we have already discussed herein before, the Lord as the super soul of all living beings from Brahma to the insignificant and endows all with the required knowledge potent in every living being. A living being is sufficiently potent to possess knowledge from the Lord in the proportion of 64th or 78%. We discussed that 78% of the full knowledge acquirable. Since the living being is constitutionally part and parcel of the Lord, he is unable to assimilate all the knowledge that the Lord possesses himself. In the conditions that the living being is subject to forget everything after a change of body known as death, the potent knowledge is again inspired by the Lord from within the heart of every living being. And it is known as the awakening of knowledge, for it is comparable to awakening from sleep or unconsciousness. This awakening of knowledge is under the full control of the Lord, and therefore we find in the practical world different grades of knowledge in different persons. This awakening of knowledge is neither an automatic nor a material interaction. The supply source of the Lord himself, Niyapati. But even Brahma is also subject to this regulation of the Supreme Creator. In the beginning of the creation, Brahma is born first without any father and mother, because before Brahma, there were no other living beings. Brahma is born from the lotus which grows from the abdomen of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and therefore he is known as Aja. This Brahma or Aja is also a living being, part and parcel of the Lord. But being the most pious devotee of the Lord, Brahma is inspired by the Lord to create, subsequent to the main creation by the Lord, through the agency of material nature. Therefore, neither the material nature nor Brahma is independent of the Lord. The material scientist can merely observe the reactions of the material nature without understanding the directions behind such activities. As a child can see the actions of electricity without any knowledge of the powerhouse engineer, this imperfect knowledge of the material scientist is due to poor fund of knowledge. The Vedic knowledge was therefore first impregnated within Brahma, and it appears that Brahma distributed the Vedic knowledge. Brahma is undoubtedly the speaker of Vedic knowledge, but actually he was inspired by the Lord to receive such transcendental knowledge. Tena Brahma Hidaya Adi Kaviyo, as it directly descends from the Lord, the Vedas are therefore called Aparusha, or not imparted by any created beings. Before the creation, the Lord was there. Narayana Parovyakta. 1 moment. Okay. In the beginning of the creation, Brahma is born first without any father and mother, because before Brahma, there were no other living beings. Brahma is born from the lotus which grows from the abdomen of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and therefore is known as Aja. Aja means who is unborn. Or Brahma is also known as, what is the other name of Brahma? See, catch from here. Brahma is born from the lotus which grows from the abdomen of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So what should be the name of Brahma? What is the correct? Yes, Ravindra Prabhu? Boliye?
Padmaja Prabhu.
Yes, Padmaja. He is born, but from where he is born? He is not born from the abdomen of, but he is born from the abdomen of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, or from the lotus. So he is Padmaja. This Brahma or Raja is also living being, part and parcel of the Lord. But being the most pious devotee of Lord, Brahma is inspired by the Lord to create, subsequent to the main creation by the Lord through the agency of material nature. Therefore, neither the material nature nor Brahma is independent of the Lord. The material scientist can merely observe the reactions of the material nature without understanding the direction behind such activities. As a child can see the actions of electricity without any knowledge of the powerhouse engineer. This imperfect knowledge of the material scientist is due to poor fund of knowledge. The Vedic knowledge was therefore first impregnated within Brahma, and it appears that Brahma distributed the Vedic knowledge. Brahma is undoubtedly the speaker of the Vedic knowledge, but actually he was inspired by the Lord to receive such transcendental knowledge, as it directly descends from the Lord. The Vedas are therefore called Aparusha, or not imparted by any created being. Before the creation, the Lord was there, Narayana Paravyakta, and therefore the words spoken by the Lord are vibrations of transcendental sound. There is a gulf of difference between the two qualities of sound, namely prakata and aprakata. The physicist can deal only with the prakrit sound, or sound vibrated in the material sky. And therefore, we must know that the Vedic sound recorded in symbolic expressions cannot be understood by anyone within the universe unless and until one is inspired by the vibrations of the supernatural, aprakrit, sound which descends in the chain of disciplic succession from Lord to Brahma, from Brahma to Narad, from Narad to Vyas, and so on. No mundane scholar can translate or reveal the true import of Vedic mantras. They cannot be understood unless one is inspired or initiated by the authorized spiritual master. The original spiritual master is the Lord Himself. And the succession comes down to the source of parampara as clearly stated in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So unless one receives the transcendental knowledge from the authorized parampara, one should be considered useless, nishphala. Sampradaya vihina te nishphalamati. Even though one may be greatly qualified in the mundane advancements of arts or science. Sukdev Goswami is praying to the Lord by dint of being inspired from within by the Lord, so that he could rightly explain the facts and figures of creations. See, please, this is very important. Whatever we have read is not being summarized. Sukdev Goswami is praying to the Lord by dint of being inspired from within by the Lord, so that he could be rightly explain the facts and figures of creation as inquired by Maharaj Parikshit. A spiritual master is not a theoretical speculator like the mundane scholar, but is Sotriyam Brahmanishtam. Tasmad Gurum Prapaddite Jigyashu Shreyottamam. And then, what is the next line? Shabde Parecha Nishnatam. Shotriyam Brahmanishtam. And this is also from Mundak Upanishad. Mundak Upanishad verses. Expert in understanding the Vedic conclusion in disciplic section, therefore he constantly engages the service of the Lord. Tad Vijnanatham Guru Meva Vigachet Samit Pani Shotriyam Brahmanishtam. So this is what is being followed by Sukadeva Goswami. That he is being inspired from within. And what is the inspiration? To submit and to pray to the Lord for empowerment. Do you find any other instance where such an episode is there? Before he begins, the personality is seeking help, is reaching out, is praying intensely. Why so many videos are of माननीय माता जी आप कमरे में बैठे बैठे अचानक कहीं और चली गई क्या? This disease is there with people. It is so deep that they want to again and again go back to the same situation. Anyway, you keep your camera close. How does it matter to me? Where do we find such episodes? In the Vedic text or in the life of personalities, spiritual personalities? Yes, Purushottam?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhu, in the life of Srila Prabhupada, while going to the America through the Jalduta, he was constantly praying to the Lord.
Yes. And before boarding Jayalduta, he was constantly praying, meditating, weeping, crying, begging. While he was staying in Radha Damodar temple, every day he would beg the Srila Rupa Goswami in front of his samadhi. And finally, when he was to embark on the Jaladuta, before embarking on Jaladuta, where did he go? Yes, Ramya, you raised your hand. You have been there? He went to Shantipur. Went to Shantipur and he really prayed to Advaita Acharya. to make the mission a success. We made the mission possible. And you see, I was really, what should I say? I was really inspired to see the entire chapter is dedicated on how Shukadeva Goswami, before speaking, is purifying himself, is connecting himself with the transcendental empowerment so that he can speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. He can reply to the query of Maharaj Parikshit. This is the mood and the dependence of a real devotee. He is not proud, or he never feels that he is qualified. Today morning, I had very wonderful experience. Somehow after Guru Puja, I went to Guru Maharaj's room. Normally, I go every day there to take his darshan and blessing. And there in the room, devotees who were cleaning the room at that time, normally no one is allowed to come because they clean the room that time. So I saw on the screen, one of my very good young friend is giving a class in English, Brahmachari. So I was amazed that he was speaking so good English. And I observed where is he speaking? He was speaking in the Vrindavan temple. And to my great amazement, the topic was on Srimati Radharani. He was giving class on the glories of Srimati Radharani right in Vrindavan, in Krishna Balram temple, in the main central hall in English. And what a class he gave. One of the best class, the best glories I have ever heard of Srimati Radharani. Very young devotee. He used to be with me as my assistant when I used to go for book distribution. Many years he really supported me. But of course, from beginning, he had great interest in studying scriptures very deeply. And for last 2 years now, he is residing in Vrindavan and he is following his spiritual master. And under his elder broad brothers, he is doing his study and he also does Srimad Bhagavatam preaching. So how this comes? This comes only on the power of prayers. A very important lesson that we are learning from this chapter, this entire chapter, the process of creation. Because this is the most difficult part or technical part of entire Bhagavatam. And it will come in many times repeatedly. Even if it comes repeatedly, it is extremely complicated and technical to be able to assimilate and accept how this creation takes place. And to be able to convey and convince others what we see the opening of the heart of Srila Shukadeva Goswami, where he is submitting to the Lord. Again and again, so many prayers, a whole series of verses. And you see what examples, how he is saying, like you empowered, my dear Lord, as you empowered Brahma ji to do the creation. Kindly please allow me, empower me to be able to speak about it. It is no less to explain creation than to actually make the creation. So as Brahmaji prayed very intensely, so is Srila Shukadeva Goswami. This is completely dependent on the mercy and the empowerment of the Lord. So he continues his prayers. And he is not a word is spoken here about the creation. So what is there is the invocation. Before the actual process of creation he speaks, is invoking the mercy. So I come to the verse number 23rd. Bhuter mahadviryo ima puro vibhu nirmaya sete yad amusha purushaha punkte gunan swadosha sadasatmaka. Sa-alankrishtha Bhagavan Vachamsi me. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who in his Purusha incarnation causes the living beings to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statements. So the underlying theme in this verse is also the same, that he is praying intensely that you please make my vani, make my speech or make my words. They are saying, please decorate my statements so that I may be able to explain the subject matter. Prabhupada says the same thing. As a fully dependent devotee, Shukdev Goswami, unlike the mundane man who is proud of his own capability, invokes the pleasure of the personality of Godhead so that his statements may be successful and be appreciated by the hearers. Exactly the same mood we see in Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, when he reached Boston, so he composed the Markine Bhagavad Dharma prayers. And there, this is the same prayer which Srila Prabhupada is submitting to Lord Krishna, where he is saying that if you will empower, then only it is possible for me that my words can penetrate the heart of these people whose heart are infatuated with the modes of passion and endurance. So how can they understand this message? It is only possible when you give special mercy to them. Prabhupada is asking special mercy for those who will be his audience, so that they may be able to hear, accept, and apply these principles. A devotee always thinks of himself as the instrument for anything successfully carried out, and he declines to take credit for anything done by himself. The godless atheists want to take all credit for activities, not knowing that even a blade of grass cannot move without the sanction of the Supreme Spirit. The personality of Godhead, Shukdev Goswami, therefore wants to move by the direction of the Supreme Lord. See, again, Prabhupada is mentioning here that Shukdev Goswami therefore wants to move by the direction of the Supreme Lord who inspired Brahma to speak the Vedic wisdom. The truths described in the Vedic literature are not theories of mundane imagination, nor are they fictitious, as the less intelligent class of men sometimes think. The Vedic truths are all perfect descriptions of the factual truth without any mistake or illusion. And Shukdev Goswami wants to present the truth of creation not as a metaphysical theory or philosophical speculation, but as the actual facts and figures of the subject. Since he would be dictated to by the Lord exactly in the same manner as Brahmaji was inspired, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, the Lord is himself the father of the Vedanta knowledge, and it is he only who knows the factual purports of the Vedanta philosophy. So there is no greater truth than the principles of religion mentioned in the Vedas. Such Vedic knowledge or religion is disseminated by authorities like Shukdev Goswami because he is a humble devotional servitor of the Lord who has no desire to become a self-appointed interpreter without authority. Such a beautiful statement. Who has no desire to become a self-appointed interpreter without authority. That is the way of explaining the Vedic knowledge, technically known as the Parampara system or descending process. The intelligent man can see without mistake that any material creation, whether one's own body or a fruit or flower, cannot beautifully grow up without the spiritual touch. The greatest intelligent man of the world or the greatest man of science can present everything very beautifully only in so far as the spirit life is there, or in so much as the spiritual touch is there. Therefore, the source of all truths is the Supreme Spirit and not gross matter, as wrongly conceived by the gross materialist. We get information from the Vedic literature that the Lord himself first entered the vacuum of the material universe. And thus all things gradually developed one after another. Similarly, the Lord is situated as localized Paramatma in every individual being. Hence, everything is done by him very beautifully. The 16 principles, creative elements. The 16 principles, what are these which I have mentioned? Namely, earth, water, fire, air, sky, and the 11 sense organs. First developed from the Lord himself and were thereby shared by the living entities. Thus, the material elements were created for the enjoyment of the living entities. The beautiful arrangements behind all material manifestation is therefore made possible by the energy of the Lord. And the individual living entity can only pray to the Lord to understand it properly. This is the approach. This is very important. We should never ever think that we'll be able to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Never possible. The only possibility is the possibility which is to be followed in parampara of what Srila Sukadeva Goswami is setting. His constant prayers, constant genuine prayer, not a show off. That will not work. That if you please allow, if you please empower by your mercy only, Sukadeva Goswami prays for the mercy of the Lord. Not only for being helped personally in presenting the truth, but also for helping others to whom he would like to speak. So he's asking, his prayer is not only for himself, but also for his audience. This is what a preacher should have. His consciousness, his connection, and his complete dependence. Then he will be able to connect. He will remain connected and he can connect others to parampara. And then this knowledge can flow. This knowledge can flow into the hearts of whom he connects. We see here Sukadeva Goswami is praying not only for himself, but also for his hearers, so that they can connect. Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Papurgyanam Ayam Saumya Yanam Mukha Amruha Asava. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva. Now he is shifting his focus after invoking the prayers from Lord. Now he is offering his obeisances to Srila Vyasadeva. Who is offering? Sukadeva Goswami. The incarnation of Vasudeva, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. So, this is the literary incarnation. So, is the incarnation of Vasudeva who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotee drinks of the nectarian knowledge. The pure devotee drinks of the nectarian transcendental knowledge, dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. In pursuance of the specific utterance Vedase, or the compiler of the system of transcendental knowledge, Srila Sridhar Swami has confirmed that the respectful obeisances are offered to Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Vasudeva. Srila Jiva Goswami has agreed to this, but Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur had made a further advance, namely that the nectar from the mouth of Lord Krishna is transferred to his different consorts. And thus, they learn the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decoration, and all such things, which are relished by the Lord. Such music, dance, and decorations enjoyed by the Lord are certainly not anything mundane. Because the Lord is at rest in very beginning as para or transcendental. This transcendental knowledge is unknown to the forgetful, conditioned soul. Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of the Lord, thus compiled the Vedic literature to revive the lost memory of the conditioned soul about their eternal relation with the Lord. One should therefore try to understand the Vedic scriptures or the nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts in the conjugal humor. From the lotus-like mouth of Vyasadeva or Shukadeva, by gradual development of transcendental knowledge, one can rise to the stage of transcendental arts of music and dance, displayed by the Lord in his Sāci-Sutā. How? By gradual development of transcendental knowledge. How will this happen? When one is constantly trying to study these scriptures, understand this Vedic knowledge. One can rise to the stage of the transcendental art of music and dance displayed by the Lord in this last month. So Prabhupada said, what is the goal of life? What is the goal of life? So many times I have spoken about Srila Prabhupada. What is the goal of life? Especially for devotees who are in Parampara. Bolo? Brahman?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, exactly I don't know, but one I heard that Srila Prabhupada told that the goal of devotees are to participate in the Rasa Leela.
To join Radha Krishna dance party. Prabhupada did not say Rasa Leela. He says to join, this is the same thing, to join Radha Krishna dance party. This is what Prabhupada is speaking here. Same. One can rise to the stage of transcendental arts of music and dance displayed by the Lord in his Rasa Leela. But without having the Vedic knowledge, one can hardly understand the transcendental nature of the Lord's Ras, dance, and music. The pure devotee of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of the profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the Rasa dance. And there is no mundane distinction between the two. Very important. Prabhupada says there is no difference. Like when we went to Kurukshetra, what Srila Prabhupada said, but there is no difference. Bhishmadev shooting arrows and the beloved biting the Lord. The fiancé biting the lover. There is no difference. This is the last verse. Etadevatma bhurajan naradaya viparshate veda garbho abhudaya bhakshat yad aha hariratmana. My dear king, Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narad, exactly apprised him on this subject, as it was directly spoken by the Lord to his own son, who was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very birth. So after this series of prayers and invocation and opening of the heart, finally what Shukadeva Goswami says, that my dear king, the question or the inquiry that you have made, the same inquiry was raised by Narad Muni on this subject. And from whom did he inquire? He inquired directly from Brahmaji. And Brahmaji, why he inquired from Brahmaji? Because Brahmaji is the first person who was impregnated with this knowledge in his heart from the Supreme Lord himself. As soon as Brahma was born of the abdominal lotus petal of Vishnu, he was impregnated with Vedic knowledge and therefore is known as Veda Garbha or Vedantis from the embryo. Without Vedic knowledge or perfect infallible knowledge, no one can create any. All scientific knowledge and perfect knowledge are Vedic. One can get all types of information from the Vedas, and as such, Brahma was impregnated with all perfect knowledge, so that it was possible for him to create. Thus, Brahma knew the perfect descriptions of creation, and it was exactly apprised to him by the Supreme Lord Hari. Brahma, on being questioned by Narad, told Narad exactly what he had heard directly from the Lord. This is Parampara system. Unless and until one has heard, how can he speak? Or what can he guide? Prabhupada is quoting this. Brahma, on being questioned by Narad, told Narad exactly what he heard directly from the Lord. Narad again told exactly the same thing to Vyas. Vyas also told Sukdev exactly what he heard from Narad. And Sukdev was going to repeat this same statement as he had heard from Vyas. That is the way of Vedic understanding. The language of the Vedas can be revealed only by the above mentioned disciplic succession and not otherwise. There is no use in theories. Knowledge must be factual. There are many things that are complicated and one cannot understand them unless they are explained by one who knows. The Vedic knowledge is also very difficult to know and must be learned by the above mentioned system. Otherwise, it is not at all understood. Sukdev Goswami therefore prayed for the mercy of the Lord, so that he might be able to repeat the very same message that was spoken directly by the Lord to Brahma. What is the way? We see here, there is another prayer, the same situation, where the speaker he gives the statement, very important statement. Those who want to be preachers, please mind, please note it very carefully. Do not try to add anything. Do not try to bring in your stuff. Otherwise, the potency is lost. Do not put anything outside from what it has been given by Srila Prabhupada. Because as soon as you do that, the potency is lost. What we have to do, as we have received, so we should be able to pass it on. Then one becomes the transparent via. You understand what is transparent via media? That you generally become an instrument to pass on the knowledge or the realization that you have received. Yatha idhitam yatha mati. It is in first canto, third chapter. Find out, Manoram Prabhu, while I will complete this purport. Yatha idhitam yatha mati. So Sukdev Goswami prayed for the mercy of the Lord so that he might be able to repeat the same message that was spoken directly by the Lord to Brahma, or what was directly spoken by Brahma to Narad. Therefore, the statements of creation explained by Sukdev Goswami are not at all, as the Mandana suggests, theoretical, but are perfectly correct. One who hears these messages then tries to assimilate them, gets perfect information of the material creation. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the second canto, fourth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Process of Creation. So from tomorrow we will start the cause of all causes. Manoram Prabhu, you have already presented, na? In the second, you have presented. Let Pranab present 2.4. Okay. Very beautiful verse. 1,344. This is the final verse. Tatra Kirtayanto Vipra Viprarasher Bhurite Aham Cha Yogamam Tatra Nivitastat Anugraha soham va shravishyami yatha yadhitam yathamati. Very important what Swanak Rishi is saying. That now I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him. From whom? From him means from Shukdev Goswami. And as I have realized it. Yatha adhitam yathamati. So as we have heard, so we have to pass it on. That's nothing new. Close it. Close it. Don't try to impress people. Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedic knowledge is not for making an impression. Vedic knowledge means that one should become transformed, changed. Okay, I'll stop here. So this chapter is completed. Manoram Prabhu, you tell Pranav. He will present this fourth chapter. Ramya, you presented the third chapter. Hearing? Okay, Manoram Prabhu. And from tomorrow we'll begin the fifth chapter, where the actual creation will be explained. The chapter is entitled The Cause of All Causes. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. If you have any questions, queries, doubts, please ask.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, actually one query. I think maybe the fourth was assigned to somebody already.
Who?
Ravindra Madhusudan Prabhuji.
Okay.
Was it assigned to somebody?
But
Okay.
I will not give you indefinite time. Okay, it is very fresh. How much time you require? Bolo?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Friday I will present Friday.
Huh?
Friday Prabhuji.
Okay, good. Friday is fine. 2-3 days, 2 days is sufficient. अरे for Bhagavatam class I don't get time. शाम को भी क्लास देने के बाद थोड़ा सा पढ़ता हूँ, अगले दिन सुबह थोड़ा सा पढ़ता हूँ. Then you speak. You have already heard. So this, you see, what is the proper way of presenting the Vedic knowledge? The most important thing is to hear it very attentively, with rapt attention. And as we have heard it, as we have assimilated it, to the extent we have contemplated, deliberated, and to what understanding and realization or experiences we are having, to that extent we have to share it with nothing else. Because anything else you do, you are adding poison. It is just poison. So at least in this forum, you should be very clear. Do not try to degrade it by adding anything. You don't want to make any false impressions. Prabhupada said, purity is the force. Please stick to it. Hare Krishna. See, wonderful. The process of creation. What we observed in the process of creation? Prayers. Heartfelt prayers of Srila Shukadeva Goswami. Bolo, let us have some discussion. There is no discussion. Without a discussion, the understanding will be very, very surface. It will remain on surface. Okay, I'll stop here. Please stop. I don't see any question coming. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ऑल ग्लोरीज